Well, welcome to your information station. I call it that because we have a number of people who are here on tonight. You have 2 doctors of pharmacy. I see a few ministers here. Definitely about 4 trainers here, a number of nutritionists. We have enough information in this room to change the world. So I'm glad we're here on tonight. I'm glad you all are here on tonight. And if you're tuning into this station, you're going to learn something that not only change your health, it'll change your wealth. So I think everybody may like that second part more than the first part, but you got to have them both. All right? All right. Let's go ahead and get started with this thing. Zoomer Worldwide. And if we can get this to do what it's supposed to do tonight. There we go. All right. Now, we have a problem. We have a problem, and that problem is our society. It's not as healthy as it should be. It's not as healthy as it should be. And do you believe that our society is getting healthier or getting sicker? Just from what you know. Do you believe it's getting healthier or sicker? Sicker. It's getting sicker. It's getting sicker. Is heart disease, cancer, and diabetes on the rise or on decline? It's on the rise. It's on the rise. You all are so intelligent. Are prescription drugs the answer? Well, yeah, somewhat. They're somewhat the answer. They are part of the answer. They're not the answer. They're part of the answer. Remember, I'm a pharmacist. My wife's a pharmacist. I'm not going to let you get away with saying that they are not the answer at all. They are part of the answer. There's another huge part of the answer we're going to talk about later on now. Also, illness is at an all-time high, just to let you know. The U.S. spends $2.8 trillion a year on health care. On health care. Now, that's more than any other industrialized country in the world. By far, it's more than any other industrialized country in the world. We spend about 20% of what the entire country makes just on health care. So it's a big problem. It's a really big problem. Continue with the problem. What's the real problem? It's what we eat and drink. It is what we eat and drink. What God intended was that when we were in the Garden of Eden, we had Adam and Eve. When he made it, he intended that we would have a garden-based diet. That's vegetables and fruit, and then whatever we could catch. He didn't care what kind of meat we had, whether it was fish, chicken, he didn't care. But he knew that we would do mostly vegetables, mostly fruit, and then whatever we would be able to catch. There would be no preservatives, and we drink a slightly alkaline water that was filled with minerals. Why was that? Because he intended that he would have the mountains full of ice and snow that would melt and come down through the rivers and valleys and rocks and everything, pick up minerals along the way, get a little bit alkaline by the time it got to a stream, and you drink from the stream. That's what he intended, but we don't have that anymore. We don't have that anymore, and because we don't, we see a high degree of heart disease, high blood pressure, and diabetes. And what's funny is that each one of these, when you sit down and you talk to your physician, if you have any one of these problems, the first thing they're supposed to tell you is that diet and exercise are the basis of the treatment. But I'm not going to blame them for not telling you, because what we do is go in and say, give me a pill. We go in and say, give me a pill, because we don't want to change diet and exercise. We want to try to make wrong right. And the way we make wrong right is say, give me a pill. After we get one pill, and that one stop working, we say, give me 2 pills. After those start working so well, we say, okay, we'll add a third if we need to, especially for high blood pressure. We will good, real good at adding 3, 4, and 5 high blood pressure medications, because we don't want to leave the salt alone. We don't want to leave the fried food alone. And since we don't have diet and exercise as our basis. Therefore, we just keep piling pills and pills and pills and pills on top. That's not making us healthier. So, we're going to talk tonight about one of those 2 things. We said diet and exercise. We're going to talk about diet, and in the realm of diet, we're going to talk about water. Water and food are very important. We're not going to talk about food because it'll take about 2 hours to go through all the different ways we can talk about how to eat and everything else. But drinking is something that you can change easily, and it has some of the most drastic changes on healthcare. What we call drinking adequately and drinking right is hydration. You must be properly hydrated, okay? What is hydration? Hydration simply means I have enough water in my system, I have enough of the electrolytes and minerals that I'm supposed to have in my system, and my body is working fine. It's working great. When we are not hydrated, we are dehydrated. To be acutely dehydrated means that I'm dehydrated just a little bit, just in this instance, just right now. And when that happens, we start seeing some of these symptoms. Dizziness, fainting, headaches, migraines, confusion, fatigue, a decrease in motor skills. All of these things, and even mood changes, all these things start happening when you just get mildly dehydrated. Does anybody know what mildly dehydrated means? Let me get one of our guests tonight. Miss Nike. I forgot your name, but you told me you worked at Nike. Give me a percentage. If you would choose a number between 1 and 100, 100% or 1%, what do you think mildly dehydrated would be? Just give me a number.
10.
All right. She said 10. Anybody else? Anyone out of the guests want to choose another number besides 10? You need to give me right here, man, with the beautiful young lady. Just give me a number between 1 and 100 that you think mildly dehydrated would be.
I was going to say 10.
You're going to say 10? I'll help you out. Give me a number less than 10.
5.
Give me a number less than 5.
1%.
Okay, what did you say?
1.
1 to 2% is mildly dehydrated. And 1 to 2% of mild dehydration, you start seeing all of these things happen. Now, I'm going to give both of you all a prize since y'all work together to get this right. This is Blast on the Zuma products. It tastes great. Is this one 5 calories or no calories? I have to remember which one is 5 calories. This one is the 5 calorie one, but it's a serving and a half of fruit and vegetables. It tastes great. It's great for the kids. So much better than Kool-Aid and Coke. So,
Thank you.
you are very welcome. Mild dehydration. How much does it take? Just 1 to 2%. There was a study in 2009 by the USDA, that's the U.S. Department of Agriculture. They hooked up with the United States Army to find out what happens when you are mildly dehydrated. Now, the dehydration that they were looking at, what they were thinking was going to be 10, 20, 30% before they saw all these major changes. They were the ones that found out that it was at 1 to 2% that they saw a decrease in mood, motor skills, and mental ability. Now, why would the U.S. government care about that? Why would they care about that? You got soldiers out there. And who wants a soldier with a bad mood? So number one, he depressed. Number two, his motor skills are bad, so he's thrown around on the battlefield with an M16 or a tank, and then his mental ability is totally off, so he's an idiot right now. I do not need a depressed, clumsy idiot with an M16 and a tank on the battlefield. And the U.S. government don't want that either, so they wanted to know what it took, and what they found was 1 to 2%. So they started making sure all their soldiers were hydrated. And if you've ever been in the military, you know they stress hydration, hydration, hydration. They do not want you dehydrated out there because you're doing a lot of work. What's funny is that we walk around daily, depending on which study you're looking at, 75 to 95% of Americans walk around mildly dehydrated. How do they get like that? They're drinking, right? They're drinking their coffee in the morning and Cokes all day long and tea. How do they get mildly dehydrated? Gin and juice, they drinking that. That's good you throw that in because a lot of folks drink that throughout the day. And all of those things, especially the alcohol and the caffeine, they're what we call diuretics. They cause you to lose water from the body. That's why you go to pee all the time when you drink those things. You're going to pee because they're diuretics. They cut off what we call the anti-diuretic hormone in your body that says to hold on to water. It shuts it down, and now you got to go release water. So you start with your coffee, and you run to the bathroom all day. You start with your Cokes, and you run to the bathroom all day. You start with your tea and gin and juice all day long, and you run to the bathroom all day. Why? Because you drank a diuretic, and now you're peeing it all off. Okay, just to make it simple, you're peeing water off all day long, and you're being mildly dehydrated. That's why some of us drive around with bad moods, go to work with bad moods. We're irritable. We don't do as well as we could on our jobs because we're walking around mildly dehydrated. Chronic dehydration. Now, everything we just mentioned under acute dehydration, same thing happens under chronic dehydration. Just simply means now this is happening all the time. So you went from just 1 day, 2 days, a few days being like this to you're walking around like this all the time. And when that happens, these happen. High blood pressure, diabetes, low energy levels, weight gain and aging, arthritis and gout, acid reflux, migraine headaches. Do you know migraine headaches and various headaches such as cluster headaches, things like that, they're on the rise in America? One of the reasons why is because of dehydration. Now, a lot of people don't understand it, but you get hydrated. I'm one that suffered from cluster headaches, which are like, if you want to talk about a cluster headache, it's like having a migraine headache times 20. Okay? So I suffered from cluster headaches, and the two things they tell you about cluster headaches, one is to do sea salt. You know what sea salt is? It's just a bunch of minerals together in a salt form. Where's my water bottle? There it is. I'm looking for my water bottle. This right here. H2O is the same situation. A lot of minerals are right there for you. The other thing they tell you is to make sure you stay hydrated with cluster headaches. Hydration right there. When I started doing H2O, I haven't had cluster headaches since last June. So that's huge for me. That's real huge.